Okay, here we are. Comic book close-ups number 2. Star Wars Annual number 3. My tribute to David Prowse, who passed away today. May the Force be with you, brother. Writer Joe Duffy. Artist and colorist Claus Janson. Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief. That guy is a legend. Star Wars, the greatest space fantasy of all time, presented by Stan Lee. This is some funny stuff, man. This guy is literally polishing Darth Vader's boots. Vader's going on and on about how his Imperial officers are kind of slacking off, and meanwhile this guy's polishing his boots, dude. Don't fail me. We won't, my lord. Rest assured, we won't. Meanwhile, this guy's continually, buttoning his, cape to, little hooks along the side of Vader's uniform. Despite my best efforts. And blah, blah, blah. You fail me once, you fail me again. And this guy's just like his... It's almost like he's his squire, in a way. Anyway, this is great Vader art. It's so cool. Now, this is funny because last week I did Wolverine 181, or Hulk 181, and it was a reprint, and the pages were real glossy. So now we're looking at an original printing. This is from 1983, and the real dirty kind of newspaper print kind of coloration. Didn't hold up as much, but I think the camera's picking up on them pretty clearly. I think it's hilarious that I'm going to keep going on about this, but Vader's giving his orders, calling his men for a meeting and telling them what they have to do, and this guy's just don't mind me. Short and short of it, Vader's on the hunt down for rebels, and he's picking up on the presence of them on a certain planet. He wants his men to go down there, and there's a little bit of rivalry. This one guy is not trying to have it. He's unbelieving that Vader can harness the Force. Hard cut to this planet in the Outer Rim, small settlement. Very cool art, man. Very old school sci-fi. Cool coloring. Desert planet meets just dry salt and kind of stuff. This is cool stuff. And we get these two friends who have overheard that a ship has landed close to their port. So they're all excited, hey man, we gotta go and check out this ship. So you get the feeling immediately that it's really this kind of bodunk town, and nothing really happens there. So the arrival of this mysterious freighter is enough to get everybody all jostled up. So these guys decide to go. The two locals continue on, and go on a little bit more about how they don't think they're ever going to amount to anything, and they're tired of working in the labor camps or the community labor force. They pass by their mom, and the mom is like, "Don't be late. You got to start your shift." And he just keeps running on. So it's kind of cool. It's reminiscent of Luke Skywalker in the sense that it's like the guy who's living in a small space town who has bigger aspirations. Well, what do you know? The ship that lands is none other than the Millennium Falcon. And who exits that little awesome loading ramp but Luke, Lando, Chewbacca, Leia, C-3PO, and R2-D2. Sick shot. So now we immediately know, coming at this cold, because I didn't know where this fell in any kind of chronology when I started reading it, this is post-Empire Strikes Back. So, Leia and all them are really welcomed with kind of not a fanfare, not like they're known, but they're definitely strangers who are attractive to the locals. The funniest part of this whole thing is this little play-by-play where this little girl sees Leia and is just enamored with her. Look at that one. The way she's dressed and how she's acting. The way Her Majesty is flaunting herself, she might as well be the queen. Or a soldier. No nice Belderon would go around looking and acting like that. I think she's beautiful. No one asked you. So Lando's the spokesperson. The locals ask him what he's doing here. They kind of cover it up and just say, they're here for a layover and kind of thing, but in reality they're here on Imperial business. Meanwhile, the two locals who, were rushing to see the ship a few pages ago run into Luke Skywalker. spot his lightsaber on his belt, and immediately have to know what the deal is. My lightsaber? Are you a Jedi Knight? This is a very important panel because my lightsaber? It was left to me given to me by a friend of my father. I knew it. Your father was a Jedi, wasn't he? My dad was one of the real heroes. No, my father was a navigator of a space freighter. Look at that look. So if this is after Empire Strikes Back, because Lando's in it, then Luke knows, or at least was told by Vader, that Vader was his father. So he's got a little moment here. I think this is amazing when you can have like panel after panel and then a hard stop. Like that's hard to convey in comics. A hard stop, change in coloration there, right? Like into this like introspective, so everything kind of goes dark and Luke's just like thinking on his own and kind of shuts everything out. And I think he's really like, is Darth Vader my father? So cool. The two young friends welcome the rebels and say like, please come into town, let us show you around. And they bring him in town. The one guy is still kind of inquisitive about Luke, but Luke just, doesn't really brush him off, but just doesn't really go into it too much about his history as a lightsaber wielder. And the boy brings the main crew to his mother's house, and then meanwhile he jumps off to go to work. So they split ways. Okay, so Leia starts to formulate her plan about what they're really here for, and it's to investigate this Imperial building facility. And the mother welcomes them, but meanwhile one of the neighbors of this local spaceport town, Hello, General, do you copy? So you're sure there's a black man with a Wookiee with them? And the boy and the girl? That can only be Princess Leia and Commander Luke Skywalker. So this ambitious general, I don't know if he was a general, probably like some kind of high lieutenant, right? One of the Moffs or something like that in the Star Wars ranking system. This woman connects to him, and he's operating behind Vader's back. No need to contact Lord Vader. I'm going to handle this on my own and send some local assassins. Sends these local assassins down to the place to handle the rebels. Inside the cantina, Lando is breaking down the situation. They're all drinking, which is kind of funny. Lando says that there's a squadron of rebels in orbit on their way here, just in case. The two locals are still kind of fawning over the rebels, the celebrities that they are, or just how attractive they are to two locals who never left the town, never left the planet. They carry on a little bit more. They're having a good time. Like, they're really looking at us. I guess we should entertain them. I guess we should really just be nice to them and all this. Another round of drinks comes. And then all of a sudden, bow, the assassins strike. So it gets classic Star Wars lasers flying left and right. So this is great stuff. Almost more like a cowboy western kind of thing. Like, they're outside shooting in. They're using tables to block themselves for cover and all that. Luke runs out. No holds barred. I mean, they're just blasting people. This guy goes down. And here, the final page of this little battle, it gets pretty gruesome. The last assassin is almost, he's like outnumbered. His other guys are killed. Luke comes up and just like confronts him, and the guy decides not to be captured, but takes his own blaster to the head, dude. So these guys are ruthless. It reminds me of how the Empire is being portrayed in the newest Mandalorian episode, where the Imperial Moffs are, they're not willing to be taken prisoner. They're just going to take the poison cyanide pill, the extent of. Of course, word of this assassination, hired gun attempt on that small world. Of course, it comes back to Lord Vader. I understand, thank you. So he immediately knows. How interesting. Gentlemen, one of my spies aboard the cruiser just intercepted a most urgent message. You refer to a rebel transmission, my lord? I do not, Colonel Maldron. The transmission I refer to has been sent from an Imperial agent to one of you here. So the masquerade is over. General Andred, perhaps you would be interested to learn that all of your assassins are dead, one of them by his own hand. You have ensured that the rebels now know we are aware of them. But, I think it's time for a force choke. I had to act quickly. Luke Skywalker is among the rebels here. had we waited, he might have slipped through our fingers. Look at this, man. Classic Vader. Pointing. And I always thought it was funny how, like, Darth Vader didn't really get angry. He was always, like, rather diplomatic, even in, like, high-tension scenarios or when there was insubordination. If he has slipped through our fingers, Android, it is due to your stupidity and that egotism that led you to think that you could take Skywalker alone. I have been aware of his presence from the moment he entered this system. Bow! Now for something completely different. Check this out, dude. These ads are the best. We got the jazz. Oh, man. Flintstones, for Care Bears, Smurfs, Hulk, Mr. T. That is hilarious. Back to our regularly scheduled comic book. You mocked the power of the Force once in my presence. Now feel what it can do. Oh, snap. Force choke's coming up. This is straight out of A New Hope, man. Look, same round table. Well, close to it. This guy's pouring water. The same dude who was polishing Vader's boots is over there, right? This little, like, side servant, man. Choking him. Gentlemen, I propose a toast. Splat. Kills the guy. To our comrade, the late General Android. So good, man. Okay. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Luke Skywalker is starting to suspect, the way he always does, that Vader is onto him. And Leia's, of course, saying, like, how could you know? And are you sure? And this and that. He decides to leave. Or at least they split up. Look at that panel, man. Isn't that beautiful? So once again, I don't know, what's faded and what's not, but these colors are cool, man. Just like strong color choices, very stylized, very much each one like a little painting. And sometimes the art isn't like the strongest, but when it is, it really is. Like we'll notice that later, it gets a little scratchy, a little undetailed, and kind of just like loose. But when it's strong, man, and that's poster worthy. Falcon flying off like that, so good. So through all that, right, we're like halfway in the comic, and I think now actually the main plot starts to unfold. Not the main plot, but the main message. And I won't spoil anything, but here we are with these two locals again. Two best friends, eager to help out, who really give like a heartwarming speech, or do their best to convince Lando and Leia to let them help. Like, we're here, we only work in the labor force, and to find out that the Emperor is involved with something here, the Empire is involved with something here, just doesn't sit right with us. Let us help, because, we want to make a difference. Like, just this theme of, like, we want to make a difference. So they decide to lead them to the labor camps. And that little journey begins. Meanwhile, all the rebel fleet is outside, or at least a portion of the X-Wings are out there, and the action begins again, man. All of a sudden, this like explosion type thing happens. I don't know if it's an energy wave. The two locals lead Lando and Leia to the labor camps to see what's been up there and why the Empire is sort of involved with this off-world planet. Turns out the parts that the boys were making separated. Like, we had no idea what the individual pieces of our labor were going to surmount to. And here we go. AT-AT walkers, man. So cool. So the AT-ATs start trumping through. The boys are kind of disappointed, very disappointed that their labors have gone towards this terrible construction of these war machines. We saw a few pages earlier that the Rebel fleet was in orbit, so they zoom in. And we got Luke Skywalker, man, in the cockpit of the X-Wing. And literally fresh with the knowledge of what he's learned on Hoth. And they're saying things like, they're saying things like, Commander, wasn't it AT-ATs that drove you from the base on the ice planet Hoth? Yeah, but the numbers are in our favor here. We were outmanned on Hoth. Also, we were trying to protect a ground base. Here it's just the Empire who are trying to defend their base. They go with the tow cables. They start taking out the legs. Very cool, very cool. Shots to the head. Or not shots to the head, sorry. This is the next panel, and a kind of flowy waterfall down. So boom! And the battle continues. Good stuff, man. I do want to rewind one page back to just show you what I meant about that sketchy art. So, like, when it's good, but when it's loose, it's loose. Like, this is still a cool shot, but, I mean, it's very line drawing, not much detail. Also, it's hard to draw, like, large things small, you know, like a giant landscape, kind of cinematic like that. But, I mean, look at that ad. It's a little, I mean, I'm not judging too hard, but it's a little quickly rendered, if you ask me. Two locals jump in their land speeder, eager to help out the rebels. Heading forward, sort of dodging blasts, seeing the rebel ships, the rebel Air Force, I guess for lack of a better word, all the X-Wings, taking out ships, and they're kind of driving through the whole mess, and then they crash, and pow! Interrupted by an ad. They crash, unconscious, fire starts up, and that smash. This thing steps right on top of them, tramps over them, and the two locals are out of the picture. Fight continues. Cool art, but once again, a little bit of that sketchy thing that I was talking about. Gets a little more simply rendered, a little loose. Still cool. Look how small they made that X-Wing compared to the AT-AT's back. That's interesting. And that one too, man, that's a little light. I would say, like, this is like one of those deadline moments, man. We gotta get this comic done. It's the 11th hour, and we gotta get this thing done. Great action. All good stuff. Luke jumps. So Luke landed his X-Wing on the back of the AT-AT, and then jumps off from one to the other exit, and does the classic move, man. Lightsaber, cracks it open, takes over, no qualms with blasting guys left and right, and sort of hijacks an AT-AT. This is cool stuff. Starts taking out the rest of them. AT-AT battle. We've never seen that, man. One AT-AT taking out others. So cool. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. Luke Skywalker. The legends of Luke Skywalker begin, man. Right? So here we are. A injured local. One of the two boys from the beginning. I can't believe this. He finds his friend. I won't let you down. I won't let your death be for nothing. Mother, oh no. And so this guy runs back to the house that initially the rebels went to for a little bit of advice and guidance in the town. And the boy finds his mother, also killed in the war. So this is great because this is Star Wars, man. This is the Empire and the Rebellion fighting it out, and then local worlds kind of getting trashed in the middle of it. And that's deep. You know what I mean? That is like deep. The repercussions or the calamity of war. So this is where it gets really cool. Especially because it's a Star Wars comic and Luke is in this, but yet it takes this little side quest kind of jaunt. I swear to you, I'm going to learn. I'm going to get the training. The same training my father had. I'm going to become someone who matters. And then I'll show them all. So this guy, he was the one who was enthralled with Luke Skywalker in the beginning, and in the middle of all this, just really kind of has his own miniature Luke Skywalker moment where he loses everything and wants to, now just move on and become more. He learns through loss that he has to act. This is where it's really cool. I did not take you seriously before, and I should have. Forgive me. Let me make it up to you now. Who's this mysterious voice talking to this local? I could not single you out for special training right away. You would be just one of our men at first. But I've sensed the power in you. In time, I promise you, you will be tutored specially. And if you really wish it, you will become someone who matters very much. Okay. Alright, now here's where I got a little confused, because now we jump back to the Falcon. We don't know who the mysterious voice was that was speaking to that brother. And we see Luke, Leia, and Lando together, and then the other brother shows up. So both brothers lived, or both friends, they might as well be brothers, lived. And then this one says also, he wants to matter. He wants to, join up and make a difference and help against this fight against the Empire. So now you have one of the locals going with the rebellion, and one of the locals joining the Empire. This is just what I've dreamed of, what I've wanted all my life, except at this time it's no game. I'm going to get my chance, join the rebellion, maybe find someone who can really train me as a Jedi Knight. So he starts talking about his brother. He thinks he's dead, and forgive me for keep saying his brother, but it's his closest friend. He thinks he must be dead, and then realizes they don't find the body, and goes on to begin to surmise that maybe the brother joined the Empire, and then you see that he did join the Empire. And he even goes as far to say that, who knows, maybe that choice is even right for him. And we see the brother donning the Imperial uniform. Attention all stormtroopers, attention all stormtroopers, and they kind of file in, and you see Vader like welcoming them and even inspecting them. And his friend, speaking off screen, I don't know, maybe we're all wrong, and Flint's the one who's right. Maybe in the end, he is going to be the one who makes a difference. That's a crazy ending, man. That's very open. Very big and very open to say that the rebellion and the Empire both have their place, and who actually knows which of us is doing the right thing. I appreciate that in a comic, that kind of open. I appreciate that in any writing, that open to suggestion, looking at a bigger picture that maybe none of us can see at the time, because we're caught in the flow of it, and maybe there's like a larger campaign that we just can't see everything, and we can't put all the pieces together just yet. Maybe the Empire is right. Maybe the rebellion is right. I hope you enjoyed Comic Book Close-Ups number 2, featuring Star Wars Annual number 3. To David Prowse, you are an inspiration to me. You are the source of great joy. Darth Vader is the pinnacle of a character, of a villain, of a story arc, of redemption. Unmistakably, like, profound in my childhood, my upbringing, my imagination. And you are part of that, and I really value that and value you as an actor, and may you rest in peace.